If someone asked me what the most interesting feature of Antarctica is, my answer would be this. Antarctica, which holds 70% of the world's fresh water, is also the driest place on Earth. Because there is no situation in Antarctica more interesting than this. Technically, creating conspiracy theories about unexplored places or formations is one of everyone's favorite activities. The fact that Antarctica is not fully explored has led to the creation of various conspiracy theories. The most well-known of these, as you might have guessed, is the alien theory. The emergence of these alien theories is based on a few images. So, what are they? The first one consists of 3 pyramid-like structures found in Antarctica. 2 of these pyramids are located approximately 10 miles, or 16 kilometers, inland. The third one is closer to the coast. After these images were shared by the media, conspiracy theorists became convinced that these pyramids were definitely man-made. Without conducting any scientific research and based only on a photograph, they were convinced that these were built by ancient and advanced civilizations. Being convinced just by looking at a photo may remind you of certain things. Remember, photos and videos can be edited. In a place like Antarctica, where even scientists struggle to work due to the extreme cold, who could have built these pyramids? How and why? If these pyramid-like structures were truly man-made, then we would need to reevaluate the entire history of the world and humanity. Scientists did not feel the need to make any statements about this, because there was nothing to explain. Let's rephrase that sentence. There was nothing important enough to require an explanation, because some answers are actually very simple. Let's illustrate this with a short story. One day, a team consisting of a physicist, mathematician, chemist, and geologist went to a village for research. When it suddenly started raining, they took shelter in a nearby village house. The homeowner briefly left the house to bring them something. While waiting, the researchers focused their attention on the stove in the room. The stove was 1 meter above the ground, placed on top of neatly stacked stones. They started discussing among themselves why the stove might have been set up this way. The chemist said that the stove was raised to lower the activation energy, making it easier to ignite. The physicist explained that the stove was elevated to heat the room faster through convection. The geologist proposed that since the area is seismically active, the stones would help prevent the stove from toppling over during an earthquake and reduce fire risk. The mathematician argued that the stove was placed in the geometric center of the room to heat all corners equally. At that moment, the homeowner returned. They asked him why the stove was set up high. The man gave a simple answer. The pipe wasn't long enough. When detectives try to solve a case and are presented with multiple theories, they choose the simplest one. Because incidents that seem complicated often have the simplest solutions. These pyramid-like things are actually just mountains. Similar formations exist in many parts of the world. One of the most well-known examples is the so-called Bosnian pyramids, which kept conspiracy theorists busy for a long time. The alleged pyramids, said to be hidden under soil and vegetation, are in fact just mountains. Statues and channels built around the bases of these mountains led to the belief that they were man-made pyramids. The same is true for the Antarctic pyramids. In fact, geologists explain that such structures are formed by steep-sloped erosion. Documentaries that present similar examples from around the world have been aired on channels like Nat Geo, even if not on History Channel. Now, let's move on to the second basis of the alien theories about Antarctica. The image you're seeing on the screen was discovered by Scott C. Waring via Google Earth. While browsing an island in Antarctica, he claimed that what he saw was a crashed alien spacecraft. The theory that aliens came skiing in Antarctica has been accepted by many conspiracy theorists. However, the only problem is that this theory is once again based solely on a few photographs. One of the reasons Antarctica and aliens draw so much attention is the abundance of visual materials used in various photo manipulations. The photo you are seeing now is a montage. So, there is no alien ship. Scott C. Waring believes the spacecraft he spotted was 118 meters long and contained hundreds of alien corpses. Of course, this is assuming we ignore the possibility that it was just a landslide caused by an avalanche. Apart from some fungi species, there is no other vegetation in Antarctica. Yet, the real questions that should be asked about Antarctica are rarely brought up, because the real mystery lies in those questions. What are they? According to modern astronomy and science, our Earth is spherical and tilts on its axis every 6 months. As a result, both the North and South poles receive the same amount of light and heat. Based on this, both poles should have similar vegetation, life, and temperature. Yet, while around 1,700 plant species grow in the North Pole, why is it that in the South Pole, apart from hairgrass and pearlwort, almost nothing else grows? While the North Pole experiences 6 months of day and 6 months of night with gradual transitions, why does the South Pole observe a 6-month night, but a daylight period of only about 24 hours? Is it true that there are areas in the interior of Antarctica that never receive sunlight? Are soil absence and ice sheet thickness proof of this? While flights over the North Pole are possible, and soon even ships will travel over it, why is there no flight route over the South Pole despite no such restriction? Is it true that the plane once recorded as flying over Antarctica only passed over its coastal areas and not directly across the continent? The answers to these questions may lead us to ask even more profound ones. The real mystery does not lie on top of Antarctica, but beyond it. If you stay tuned, we will be publishing a detailed documentary where we explain many more things about Antarctica. You need to know about the impact of some research conducted in Antarctica on global technologies. Travel to Antarctica is not entirely unrestricted. There are designated areas for tourists. You can visit these places through specific tour programs and participate in various activities. Many countries, including ours, have research stations on this continent. However, only a few countries have research stations located in the interior of Antarctica. In conclusion, there are no aliens, alien ships, or pyramids in Antarctica. Antarctica did not break away from other continents and drift south as a result of continental drift. Contrary to popular belief, there is no scientific data to prove this. Articles that claim that the interconnected landmasses are moving apart by a certain amount each year are just assumptions. Science begins with hypotheses and becomes validated through repeatable experiments and proof. Anything beyond that is nothing more than speculation, and speculation is not science. The invention of the telephone, the development of engines, the treatment of diseases, and even the discovery of fire are all science. Because they are repeatable and consistently yield correct results. Aside from that, simply showing you a photo and claiming it is a spaceship, a pyramid, or a globe is not science. Stay scientific, and until we meet again, take care of yourself.